Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Friday, February 7th. It's me and Brody. Brody, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you? Happy
Amazing.
Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday, everybody. It's been a long week. So we're super stoked.
Yeah.
We're coming on. We're talking pack of the week. We're gonna get into some different packaging. We're gonna look at it, break it down, get some comments, and just stick around. All right, Brody, pack of the week. I'm gonna just put it up here so we can get
Let's see
started on
it.
this. Right off the bat, this is a post from Juan Camdera, who's creative director over at Activa in Barcelona. This post has blown up, and you can see Juan here. Go follow him; he's amazing. But just like initial reaction, like what is this Gen Z thing?
Well, I think it's my first thought when seeing this was like, wow, that's so bright, so colorful. It feels fun. And I think as a proud member of Generation Z, I feel like that's that's often something that, we're looking for or
Mhm.
is I'm seeing more of a trend coming out, maybe targeted towards more people of this new consumer segment of bright colors. It's I saw something saying it was bold minimalism in some
Mhm.
ways, where there's not a lot of text on that packaging. There's not a lot of um, visually. It's bold, but it's not necessarily overwhelming or overstimulating either. But it feels fun. Like I think it's before this, I had a chance of talking to some people here at Spec Summit about like, what does Gen Z care about when it comes to packaging? And everyone said like, I think, it's health. It's aligns with what I want. And I think it evokes feeling. That's what
Mhm.
art does, right? And I think that a lot of these examples and maybe marketing, maybe packaging aimed towards this next generation is a lot of things that evoke a lot of feeling, right? Like I
Yeah,
thought it
and
was fun.
yeah, I like that bold minimalism, right? And if you're out there and you're watching and you've got a take on Gen Z packaging and what you think, I'd love to hear it. Let us know where you're watching from, where you're listening from. Um, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Monday and Jamie's team that has built this brand into like a behemoth. But I think this was like the first thing, right? Like you got these round corners, you've got the DBoss, logo, and then just super simple. And as we kind of work our way back to some of these other ones, again, you're getting that simplicity. You're getting a lot of color. This first one is a lot of shape. You got a deboss seal on the box, and then you got like this embossed raised plastic on the edge, and you get these curves happening. So it's like almost like super tactile, yeah,
Mm,
in some sense, but still super minimal. So there's a lot of balance there.
absolutely. I think the balance is key, right? Where, we talked maybe a few weeks ago about chaos marketing.
Mhm.
That trend of putting just as much, as many things as possible on the pack, and it's so overwhelming. But then to see this, there really needs to be a balance of that bold colors and brightness and the feeling of, I'm calling it the feeling of fun, as
Yeah.
well as a minimalistic or like a solid shape, function, form.
Yeah, it's interesting. So if I think back 10, 15 years ago, if I saw these packs on shelf, and I think if most consumers my age saw these packs on shelf, it would almost feel untrustworthy, like
Ooh,
not quality, right? Because quality had a different
interesting.
look back then, where I think now
Mm,
it's not about quality. It is about fun. It's like, what do I want to see in the shower with me? What do I want to see, um, in my drawers when I pull those out? And again, here's another one. This is Momand with a DBoss logo on the lid, and then we've got like this color contrast of the blue and the pink with sans serif uh, text. Again, super super simple. And like Corey says, You're amazing. You're doing awesome.
Hey, Cory.
And Chris, the shapes remind me of Scandinavian minimal style for toy. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely playful. Definitely agree with Chris that it is pretty playful, but definitely new shapes. So then, if we're talking packaging, are any specific brands that you're in love with right now that kind of fit this category?
I'm trying to think of what's at home right now. Um, Bioma? I'm probably saying that wrong. I can find them at Target, Ulta,
Hmm.
maybe Sephora, but they're very similar to this. That they're like big, bold colors, and they are not like a round bottle. They're more of like a swivel shape. And so it feels like being in my shower. You've got like Amika is another really great example of that too. Big, bold, bright colors, but it still feels like an aesthetic. It
Yeah.
fits, makes my shower feel bright and happy and fun. I think some of the, in contrast, when you're looking at it on a shelf, this compared to, I love Milk too. They do a great job.
Yeah, these guys are awesome.
Great product. But that compared to, other things on the shelf that are white, that are, maybe more shades of beige, if you will, it's a different audience, it's a different product, and I feel like it really evokes a different feeling when looking at it. And I would argue that I feel like it's interesting you said that about the quality, because looking at them on the shelf, I would feel like the more bright ones feel more, words that come to mind are like more for me,
Hmm.
right? I think the things that feel more beige are like, oh, that's probably, for skin texture that's not mine,
Yeah,
that's, a whole different, really a different target audience. So
I love that you said beige, right? Because that's definitely what it is, what it was. Back then, like if you walk down the shampoo aisle, it was a lot of beiges and light ivories and different shades of that. And maybe there's like a deep burgundy would be the one that would stand out, like a Redken or any one of
Mhm.
these brands that were premium back then that are now are like bargain basement. Um, and those were the shocking ones. There was like the Australian one, Aussie, whatever, and that had a little bit of like a reddish color to it, but everything else was definitely beige and white, and boring. And now these things are super bright and colorful. And again, I think for like an older audience, this feels more like a toy. But
I can see that.
if you're like in that gap, if you're on the younger end of the older people, then there's definitely that like playfulness in here. And I think with everybody on social, like you're seeing these things and like you want to be a part of that stuff. So definitely an interesting time in packaging. And like Brandon Gomes says, simple but effective. The one thing
Definitely.
I'm looking at like the texture and like
Mm.
some of those like chapsticks had like a little Sunday swirl at the top. If it's sitting in your pocket, it almost becomes fidget. Those fidget spinners and like all those little fidget toys that people have. Like we can't stop playing with stuff. I know like my earbuds, like when the things in my pocket, it's just like spinning and I'm like holding it or moving it around. So there's that like tactile component to packaging, which people didn't really consider before.
Yeah, and I think too, it's important maybe to mention that I don't think this is like a overall trend as much as this
Mhm.
is like brands really targeting a specific audience. Like I'm not expecting this to be like the entire shelf is bright colors like
Right.
Way and some of those other brands that are still really high quality and but versions of beige. I don't think I'm not I'm not suggesting that they change their branding in any way.
You heard it here first. Brody says beige is bad, right?
But I think like you said, like there's fidgets, like there's things and like even the textures and the shapes. It's something that the market is so saturated. Like you could get there are thousands and thousands of different lip balms. Like if we just stayed there, there's thousands of them. But if
Mhm.
you were to pull out of your pocket one that looks like a sundae at the top, there are people at the table who are gonna be like, "Where did you get that? What is that?"
Yeah.
It's something to start a conversation. It's maybe not something that's for every brand, but something that is different. And right now in a sea of beige on the shelf, these are different. These are things that are going to stand out and there is a time, Gen Z is shopping more in person than they are digital, which is, I think, surprising to me. But how, you are on a shelf compared to others. So what are you doing about it?
Yeah. No, like Hugh says, like a good example is the Dr. Squatch. Those chapsticks are giant, right? So it stands out in that sense. And it's like, but I have seen, yeah, here's the opposite side of that. Like I've seen some markets where they will put all of these brands together as like a grouping. And when that happens, it becomes really difficult to discern one from the other because they're all similar colors, or it gets just so wild that you can't. Maybe it's just because I'm old, right? Like you can't decide like what you want because they're all so fun. They're all like, now you just have like all these wild graphics and it's a little overwhelming when you're competing against beige and you've got this big yellow, bright, fun shaped thing, you stand out. But if you're against a bunch of other fun shapes and colors now, it's like, holy crap, what do I really want?
I agree. I think there is danger of kind of that overstimulation and like visually feeling cluttered. You might, the benefits of your product might get lost in that too, is something just to be thinking about.
Yeah. No, and like Kevin says, right, there's such an emphasis on disruption. If everybody's disrupting, then it's no longer disruption, right? Like what's going to happen in 5 years when the entire when your milk is coming out like a big orange funky shape?
It's gonna be the old Tropicana bottle with your milk.
Exactly. Exactly. We got Nadeem coming in from Saudi Arabia. Um, Hegemony is quickly becoming a problem, Bob Gill would say. That's, yeah, I think we're just, there's a balance. So maybe in the next 5 years, beige will be cool again, right? Beige round bottles, everything will just be simple. But
What
I
goes
love it.
around comes around.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Brody, it's been awesome to have you on here. We're going to wrap this up. You're at Spec, right? Where else can people find you?
LinkedIn, or the Sustainable Packaging Podcast. Every week, Cory and I are talking about something new and cool in sustainable packaging.
Amazing. Thank you guys. We'll catch you next week, Monday. Let us know any questions, throw them in the comments, and we'll see you guys. Let's see if I can end.